So if you were in her class last year, you got to see me read it. But it's one of my favorite books because it's about being kind to people and going out of your way to make other people feel loved and cared about. So the name of this book is The Invisible Boy, and it's by Trudy Ludwig. Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. So you see the teacher, and here's Brian. He's invisible. He feels like nobody sees him. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan has problems with what Miss Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. So you can see Nathan and Sophie over here being loud. And then here's Brian over here just doing what he's supposed to do and kind of feeling invisible. When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for the kickball teams. The best players get picked first, then the best friends of the best players, then the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping. And you can see how sad Brian feels because nobody sees him. JT glances in Brian's direction and just as quickly looks away. We've got enough players for each team, he tells the others. Let's play ball. And there's Brian not getting to play kickball, still feeling invisible. In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. The rope swing over the pool was awesome, says JT. Yeah, so was the water slide, says Fiona. That was the best pool party ever. I'm so glad you guys had fun, says Madison. Everybody had fun except for Brian because Brian wasn't invited. At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table doing what he loves to do best. He loves to draw. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall buildings, space aliens locked in intergalactical battles, greedy pirates digging for treasures, and superheroes with the powers to make friends wherever they go. So there he is doing his favorite thing, drawing. On Monday morning, Miss Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. There's Justin, the new kid who just got there. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. What's that? Asks Madison as she points at Justin's food. All the kids laugh, all of them, that is, except for Brian. He sits there wondering which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible. The next day, when Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. And there's his note. Justin, I thought the bulgogi baked good, Brian. So Brian had wrote him a letter and put it in his cubby. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing away. Hey, Justin, Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. You're up next. Sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. By the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. Back in class, Miss Carlotti asked the kids to team up in twos or threes for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads towards Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find someone else. So I'm sure that Brian's feeling even more sad now. Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. And then Justin over here says, hey, Miss Carlotti, what if we have 3 people in our group? And so he asked Justin to join them. Miss Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in the photograph. And she says, use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think would live in houses like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. Brian smiles as he takes out his lucky pen. And if you can see this picture for the first time, he's not black and white anymore. He's actually, Brian's come into color, so he's not feeling so invisible. And there are the boys drawing and having fun. And then they get up and they give their presentation, all 3 of them, all together. And Brian's in the middle, smiling for the first time. It's lunchtime again, Brian's least favorite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else but him. Brian hears someone shout, hey, Brian, over here. Brian turns and sees Justin waving to him. Emilio nods at Brian and he makes room for him at the table. Maybe, just maybe, Brian is not so invisible after all. And you can see there's Brian looking happy. So I chose that book because when Justin came to school and he started seeing Brian, then everybody else did. And I kind of wanted to let you guys know you can make a big difference, even as a kid, being nice to people and seeing somebody that's alone on the playground or at the cafeteria or in class, and make them not feel so invisible just by being nice and being their friend. And that's why I picked that book.
Yeah, great book. Hey, Dr. McDaniel, will you hold the book up for just a minute and let me take a picture of you with the book? Okay.
Hey, let me turn the camera around so when you take this too.
Okay, hold on. Let me go to speaker view. Okay, yeah, I'll take it from there. Yay, that looks good. Okay, hold on. She's not in it. She's cut off. Okay, thank you. Okay, and you keep holding it up, Dr. McDaniel, because now I'm going to take one. You say a word, so you're my speaker. Dr. McDaniel, say hello.
Sarah, you can pin her so she's showing.
Okay. Oh, thank you. There we go. Here we go. 1, 2. Wait, let me take that. New. Okay. It's got me a little thing about it. 1, 2. Okay, that's good. Thank you, Dr. McDaniel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cassie.
All right, everybody. We had a good time, Dr. McDaniel. Thank you for doing it. Does anybody have any questions? What? Can you, and your teacher will email it or send in chat?
Yeah.
I got the chat. I'm looking at it. Does anybody have questions?
Well, I have a bunch of.
Okay, come here.
Erin Davis, she's coming in with a question.
Oh, we're not gonna yell out me because nobody gets called on for that.
What is my favorite book? Well, my favorite kids book is To the Moon and Back. And we used to read that to my daughter all the time. And my favorite grown people book is a book called Invisible. Actually, it kind of goes with this book. Actually, it's called Uninvited by Lisa Turquoise. That's my favorite book, Uninvited. So that's my favorite grown people book. But I've got tons of kids books that that I love from my childhood and that I used to read to my little girl when she was little. Oh, and I love The Outsiders. I think that's probably like a 6th grade book, but I loved that book so much. And The Boxcar Children. If y'all are reading chapter books, if y'all ever want something good, old school, Boxcar Children and anything from Judy Blume. Those were my favorite books when I was 5th and 6th grade. What was your favorite part of the book you read to us? When Brian starts coming alive and he starts feeling seen and he doesn't feel so invisible anymore and he starts getting color. Anybody else? I'm glad that was the best book ever.
Jessie,
What did I like to play with as a kid? Okay, well, I grew up kind of in the woods, and there were only little boys in my neighborhood. I was the only girl. And so they liked to play cowboys and Indians and army and go play in the creek and in the gravel pit. So I just decided to be a tomboy, so they let me play with them, and we played outside all the time.
I thought you were telling me. I was like, okay.
In fact, we rode bikes up and down the hills so bad. I had so many bike wrecks. I still have rocks in the top of my head from all my bike wrecks with playing with all the boys. Only
So
2
you need
trips
a
to the
helmet.
hospital. One scar and lots of rocks, but I made it through. What's my favorite color? Actually, it's green, which is ironic because we're all wearing green today for Green Eggs and Ham. What do I like to eat? I like to eat pretty much everything, but my favorite is probably, I love Mexican food and I love seafood. What is my favorite movie? A movie that y'all can watch when you're teenagers called Good Will Hunting. It's my favorite movie of all time.
Yes.
Anything else?
Courtney was
What's
saying
my favorite animal? Well, I have a kitty cat named S. Miss Corlew actually helped me name him. And I love him like he's my child. So I guess I'm going to have to say a kitty cat because of S. What's your favorite thing about being a principal from Miss Miller's class? I think it's when children decide to make the right decision and you see them kind of struggle with who they want to be, but then they decide they want to make good choices and you know they're becoming great people and you watch that happen. That's
Are you listening? She did. That was awesome.
When's your birthday? June 18th.
Jessie, what's your question?
Any more?
What's her favorite ride?
Oh,
What's
what
my favorite football team?
is your favorite ride?
My favorite football team, college, is Auburn, and my favorite NFL team, I used to love the Panthers, but now I love the Saints, so I'm back to being a Saints fan. What's my favorite ride? What do you mean ride? Like a
Yes. Yes. Miss Ho's class, JC wants to know what your favorite ride is. They love OWA, so they think that you go there too.
I've been to OWA. I actually went to OWA with Miss Megan and Miss Carolyn one day. And we had a great time and we rode every ride there, I think. I don't like things that go high and too far around. So probably the roller coasters are always my favorite. I love a roller coaster.
Hey, did you hear? Roller coaster.
Any more questions?
Ellis.
Favorite Disney character? Moana.
Yeah.
I just made that one up. Nobody asked. I just want to tell you. What is your dream job? Oh, I think I've already had my
It's
dream
being the
job.
principal of Gulf Shores Elementary.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know. One day I would like to write a book and have it published, like a fiction book. So that would be a cool job to have.
We'll all buy it.
Like a tell-all story.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing to do in your free time? I love to travel. I've been to many countries and explore, and I like to be outside hiking and camping and stuff. Although I haven't done much of that lately, but those are my favorite things to explore. All right. I guess we're done with questions.
Thank you,
Ava
Dr. McDaniel.
Ava wants to know who your favorite person is.
Besides her,
Besides her.
besides her. I don't know. I got different favorite people for everything.
Okay.
You know, I have to say if I had to pick two, probably my daughter, my sister. I don't know, but
Can Andrew ask this question? We typed it in, but I'm not sure what happened.
okay.
Ask it.
How did Brian, like, did the kids want to play with Brian when he was a kid, or they did just not notice him?
Did the other kids want to play with him too?
What's your name, sweetie?
Andrew?
Okay, Andrew, that's a great question. I think that sometimes there are kids that make bad choices that the teacher has to give more attention to, or maybe the teacher's distracted, and so she didn't see Brian because he was always doing the right thing, and he just kind of became invisible. And then I think the kids all just had their friends and they didn't see him, and nobody ever took the time to just say, hey, what about Brian? And then it only took one person to notice. And as soon as Justin came to school and noticed him, then everybody else noticed him. And I think it's just the power of one person and how much you can make a difference just by being nice to somebody, especially somebody that other people may not go out of their way to be nice to. Does that answer your question?
So yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McDaniel.
Any more questions? Well, thank you, Dr. McDaniel. We enjoyed that story so much. And guys, we'll be back at 9:30 with our next mystery reader. So get excited, get hungry down, and we'll have them recorded. If you're at PE or special or something like that, we are getting them. We got the information for the YouTube channel, so we'll get that up today. So see you at 9:30 if possible. And Miss Altmeyer, it is always great seeing you.
Thank y'all. I love being here, and I'll see you at 9:30.
All right. Bye. Love.
Bye-bye. Thank you.